something down. When we get something down, there is no strain. Instead of reaching for inventions, we are listening. The artist's way is recovering a sense of connection to the true self.
Compassion. Being an artist requires enthusiasm more than discipline. Enthusiasm is not an emotional state. It's a spiritual commitment, a loving surrender. The artist's way is recovering a sense of compassion.
You probably heard of The Artist's Way by Julia Cameron. I'm working through her book right now. I'm trying to find out what I'm going to do next. The future. I'm not a real artist. I've never said that. But I do like to get things done. I mean, I think my biggest challenge is this ever good enough? I think that's my thing, you know? Could we be doing more? That's my mentality. You know, let's do this, and then let's look at how we can make it better. I'm not that person who says, yeah, that was so great, and then shut up. For me, there's always, next time, I think we could, you know. Remembering that God is our source, we are in the spiritual position of having an unlimited bank account. Julia Cameron says that at the heart of the possibility in The Artist's Way, the artist embraces the possible. Now, part of me feels like what I do at LMU is simply my job, you know what I mean? I do it well, but it's not anything extra or special. I know I have received many gifts. I came to LMU as an undergrad in 1973 during the merger, and I was female, so I had to apply to Marymount College. Marymount had a hot orange catalog with a big pink flower on it, you know, IHOP colors, green. The merger was complete by the time I was accepted, so I was in the first class of Loyola Marymount University. I'd been to masses at LMU. I was really calmed by them. Saturday night masses in Huseman, cool. I felt a real sense of community in them, even before I became a student. I also met Bill Fitzgerald, and I was thinking I was going to be a poli-sci major. I was having this meeting with Bill in his office, like books piled high all over the place, and Bill was treating me like a grown-up. I remember being really drawn to him and his spirit. That chance meeting was really powerful in bringing me to LMU. I ended up being a psych major, you know, Lee Swenson and animal behavior, and Trish Walsh and Diane Stoltz, who became Diane Callahan. Really great people back in the day. Early LMU. I always stayed with the university somehow, though. Even when I graduated, I was president of the Alumni Association and on the alumni board for 8 years. I was also a bank teller for a minute, and then I went to LA Unified as a counseling assistant at Berendo Junior High near Koreatown. Then I started my master's in counseling at LMU, and I got a counseling credential. Then I got a job at Lennox as a school counselor. You know, I actually found the job. I found out about the job from Jamie Sanchez, the tennis coach, whose wife at the time worked at Lennox. We actually had the conversation in the parking lot behind Foley, when there was a parking lot. I got the job in the Lennox School District, and I was there for 17 years. I loved it. I felt a lot of freedom, a lot of possibility. And you know, I find that's something that's important to me. As long as I can do my job and also be allowed to do whatever else I want to do. Pam Rector projects. That has always been the key to a successful match for me. I'll give you an example. I was just at a retirement party at Lennox. There were students there that I've known since they were in kindergarten who are now principals in that district. Miss Rector, that's my name over there. And they were like, oh my gosh, how are you? And to know them and to have journeyed with them through all these you know, our family had discussions that Miss Rector says I should live on campus. And I've known that family since she was in kindergarten. And there was this whole like respect thing, like if Miss Rector says it, you know we trust her, and she knows you, and she knows us. And now, that girl from the neighborhood is leading the community where she grew up. That kind of generativity is something I love about all the jobs that I've had. I don't know that I've been a mentor, it's just that, you know, meeting people and working with them where they're at and getting them to the next step, you know, possibility and connection.
So what brought you to LMU from Lent?
Well, I got to be 42, and I had not had a child. I said that at 37, I would consider doing the single parenting thing. I'm like, oh my gosh, I better get cracking if I'm gonna do this. So, at 42, I took a leave of absence from Lennox. Good old Sister Peg and the RSHMs gave me money to go on retreat. So, I went on a retreat back east, a 30-day retreat, to try and discern. That really relates to my big kids. It all started with a program I mentored in called Adopt a Student. But I really adopted a whole family of students. Can I come back to that? It's actually important. So, I'm on retreat, and I'm thinking, maybe my students are enough. Maybe that's all I'm called to do. But I discovered, I discerned that I was really called to be a mother, to give birth to a child. So I decided, I'm really gonna do this. Well, all hell broke loose. I'd been in relationships, but they weren't working, and so I decided on artificial insemination. You know, sperm donors, profiles, anonymous donor versus a friend, you could be a partner or a godfather, all the options. My mother cautioned that Dr. Laura, on the radio, said it was a selfish thing to think about artificial insemination and single parenting. My dad said that if I was having a midlife crisis, why didn't I just go out and buy a car? But when I got pregnant, Mom and Dad were over the moon. So, age 42 was my year. I got pregnant in June 10th, 1998, which was the same day that I had an interview at LMU for a job. I got inseminated in the morning and had a job interview at LMU in the afternoon. 2 for the price of 1. I didn't know that yet. I had my extraordinary, beautiful grace 9 months later. LMU made me director of EPIC, Educational Placement in Communities. But it was under career development, so we had to bust it out of there, and we renamed it, we redeveloped it. By 2000, we were the Center for Service and Action stand alone.
So you were the founder of the Center for Service and Action at LMU, the place where the mission goes into action?
I am the founder! It was around that era I met this guy who worked for the Hilton Foundation who was looking to fund student volunteerism, and they picked us. I was talking to him on the phone while sitting in my car in the Fox Hill Mall parking lot. Maybe parking lots are good for me. Anyway, he gave us a $284,000 grant, which allowed us to hire more people and grow. Then, we worked together and created a proposal and won $1 million endowment to create new programming like the Alternative Breaks program.
Well, being an artist requires enthusiasm and a spiritual commitment to others. The artist's way recovers a sense of compassion.
You see, I've always been an enthusiastic traveler. So, 1 month, I was off from work. I went to Guatemala and took a boat ride from a town on a lake to a mission across the lake. We were in a motorboat and found an incredible community. And we've been going to that town for the past 15 years now. It's a very poor, indigenous town, and with rich traditions, though. And we worked with the community in all kinds of ways. We go on alternative break instead of Cabo or South Beach. We go to San Lucas Tulum, Guatemala. The students discover a new reality, recover a sense working right now with the Rigoberto Menchum Foundation, which is in Guatemala. They have a school. We learn indigenous traditions. We work with the kids and the families. It's cool. I think the benefit of being in an alternative break is that we are all so busy in our lives, bless you, that when you go to another location, international, domestic, we are immersing ourselves in somebody else's reality. International trips are best because the students can't use their phones. And they're all away from their college requirements and their labs, and they can focus. Possibility, connection, compassion, it's all there. One time, we were in Ecuador, and it was very hot. And one of the kids went out to the liquor store and got a bunch of popsicles, like icy pops, and we were having our evening reflection, and this kid with the popsicle says, everybody pick a flavor and relate your experience in Ecuador to your popsicle. So, that sounds loony, but some people got sweet ones, some people got sour ones, some got flavors they never tasted. It's a metaphor for the reality of going into these homes and seeing these sweet kids who live in some pretty rough conditions. So, that's alternative breaks. So, let me talk about El Espejo for a minute. No, wait, actually, let me talk about Miriam Vega. That's the best story ever. Miriam Vega just graduated from LMU. She grew up in Lenox, went to Lenox Middle School. She went through the El Espejo program as a kid, and then came to LMU, was on the executive board, and became president of El Espejo. Here's this kid from the neighborhood, undocumented. And now she's leading the program. That's what we want for these kids. We want them and their parents to have the vision that college is possible. El Espejo mentors start as LMU freshmen and mentor all 4 years. They stay with the same kid for as long as they can, like Miriam. El Espejo means mirror, to look at yourself and learn what you're capable of.
So how many students have you worked with since coming to LMU?
Actually, Linda Bannister told me a mile's worth. She did some crazy computation and based on the averages and came up with 5,280. Weird, huh? Let me end with the big kids thing, because this is a huge part of my life, so it seems weird to do this without talking about them. At Lenox Middle School, we had a program called Adopt a Student. The whole point of the program was to find a student that you check in with every day and then shepherd them. Usually it's a kid that's, in some kind of struggle of some kind. So one girl asked me if I would adopt her, that's the language. And then another 2 or 3 asked me if I would adopt them too. And then there were these 2 boys who were knuckleheads and they asked me too, and I couldn't say no. I wouldn't say no. Now these guys are gonna turn 35 and we are still family. There's Ali and Aurelia, George and Herman, and so we do holidays together, we do birthdays together, we do everything.
So you've kept this up through their whole life?
Well, they have too. They keep it up too. I think that's really giving to the universe. I really believe that. I was good to you, so you owe me. I don't think it works that way. I just think you're generous.